Welcome to episode 302 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody here at the Game Deflators Podcast. We like to talk about games. We've recently picked up games we're currently playing, and we give them the chair in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
So this week we're playing a little bit of AEW Fight Forever on the PlayStation 5, and we're also joined by Javier of the Open Bar Miami podcast.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me.
So, Javier, before we go into what we're going to be talking about today, why don't you give us a little bit more info about Open Bar Miami and just kind of plug yourself?
All right. Open Bar Miami is a new podcast that I started with my co-host Candyman. He's also been on your podcast, John, as you know. Basically, it's like, think of Hot Wings, the Hot Wings interviews you see on TV or on the internet, but instead of eating hot wings, we're drinking alcohol. But we're also talking about a lot of different things that are going on in Miami, of course, and the world and the United States. And no topics are off limit. We talk about everything and whatever people want to talk about. It's pretty much like the vibe. The vibe is like if you're at a bar with your friends and you're just talking like that.
Yeah, and they talk everything.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we had a dating episode that got pretty wild.
Yeah, and I was hearing that the other day, and then I know you got a Mormon episode that's coming up at some point, hopefully. So
yeah, we just dropped episode 5 yesterday, so check it out. Open Bar _ Miami is our social media on IG and Twitter.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, what are we going to talk about this week?
All right, so this week we're going to the movies. Well, not really. We are talking about video game movie adaptations, the good, the maybe going to be good, and the very, very ugly.
So, yep, Ryan's correct. We're going to be talking Borderlands 2024 movie, which I already mentioned last time we recorded that it was a rough time watching it. I watched it a second time today to
Why, bro?
Yeah.
Why did you do that to yourself?
Because I didn't feel like I watched enough of it or paid enough attention to it, so I went through it again. It was just as bad the second go around. So we're going to talk some Borderlands, obviously, but first you can find us on the GameDeflators.com, our currently up-to-date website. Beautiful new graphics. Very excited about it. You can also find us on social media at Game Deflators on X, at The Game Deflators on Instagram, Facebook, Threads. You can also find us on YouTube, where we are going to have this video recording, finally, right? Put on there.
Yeah.
And then you're listening to a podcast on a podcast app. Leave us a 5-star review, comment, like, subscribe, everything that goes along with that. All right. What we are currently playing this week. So, continuing with Gollum on the PS5.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at, Ryan. Just, as I mentioned last time, a buggy mess. Continues to be a buggy mess. I am hoping to get through this game in the next several weeks, but my wife and I, because we're playing this game together, it really kind of boils down to on the weekends we're playing it primarily. So,
do you have the chicken yet?
No.
What?
You still don't even have the chicken?
Dude, it's a slow progress. Like we're enjoying ourselves in this game. Like,
is that what you're doing?
No.
All right, so Gollum, is this about Lord of the Rings?
It's the Lord of the Rings.
The video game nobody ever wanted and still doesn't.
Well, no, I really wanted it. It's just that the team that developed it didn't want it. And so ultimately we ended up with a pile of garbage.
It's the Borderlands, the movie of video games.
Okay, that says it all right there.
Yeah.
Says it all.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Ratings in like the 1 out of 10, 1 out of 5 scale. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I was telling Ryan last time that there was a section I was trying to walk into and Gollum was just kind of running in place. And I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Like, I'm trying to enter his door and I'm running in place. I had to jump over an invisible barrier to get into where I need to go.
Do they use the voice of Andy Serkis from the movies?
No.
No, he is far away from this project.
Yeah, the budget.
He must have saw it and be like, I don't want my name attached to anything anywhere near this.
I don't think anybody in the Lord of the Rings films wanted their name attached to this.
Right?
Wow, dude, it makes me want to play it now.
Oh, no. Just watch some videos on our YouTube, and then you can enjoy it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. There you go. That's another selfish plug. Also, Absolov. I haven't gone through any more of Absolov at this point. So we'll see. At the point of this recording, I haven't played anymore. But I will beat that game, and then it is on to Wolong Fallen Dynasty. That is that's the next game on the list. And in pickups, I went backwards here. Pickups, I got this for the podcast. Picked up a nice new 8 terabyte hard drive.
Nice.
Show and tell.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's like $100 for 8 terabytes. I was like, that's not bad. So I realized that.
Data.
Yeah, I realized in my tower, I actually have the ability to stack 3 hard drives, like 3 normal, like 3.5 inch hard drives. And then I've got 2 slots for like the smaller SSD style drives. So this computer now has 5 hard drives in it. It's got an 8 terabyte, 2 terabytes, which I'll convert to 4 terabytes down the road. And then it has 2 500 gig hard drives as well. So
you have more
13
memory.
gigs.
You have more memory in your room than like more countries have. Period.
Than who has period?
Most countries.
Probably.
That's a lot, bro. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, to 8 terabytes. I was getting sick of looking at my 2 terabyte drives like creeping up there to 2 terabytes. And we have like whenever we record on here, we've got whatever video coming through. That's a gigabyte, per video. Plus the audio is coming in at close to a gigabyte per file. Like when we do this one, it's gonna be close to 3. So I was like, I gotta have somewhere to like house the original audio as a backup and then have the MP3 files on my main computer. So if anything happens, I've got original files and I've got completed files. And obviously everything is on our podcast host. And then all the video, of course, is housed on YouTube. But I wanted to make sure that backups were kind of set in stone.
Super safe. This is why I keep John around. He thinks of all the stuff and I just show up and sound good.
That's the only reason you keep him around.
Well, that and the video game collection.
The video game collection, all of the graphic design, the editing. John's my go-to.
There you go.
Website development, social media manager,
social media manager.
Yeah, design,
personal chef.
Game.
Once in a while.
That is true, actually.
Wow.
Every time that we play D&D, I'm personal chef for everybody. So,
dude, you're like the MacGyver over there of Arizona,
right?
Yeah. There's a reason Ryan. Yeah, there's a reason he keeps me around and hangs out. Yeah. So, all right.
Look at you trying to be so humble. Come on, man.
So, anything else this week for you, John?
No, I'll pass it over to Javier.
Go ahead.
I picked up 2 things this week. They're not video games, so pardon that for now.
That's good.
All right. My favorite horror movie of all time. Yes. Love this movie. I've been had it in like many different formats, but I had to get the Blu-ray edition because I mean, come on, Psycho. It's amazing.
Not the ultimate Blu-ray, whatever the next step up is.
No, it's like remastered from the original 1960 footage. So it looks unbelievable.
Is it just the first one, or does that?
Yeah,
like...
it's just the first one. Just the first one.
Do you know if they released the other ones in Blu-ray?
I believe they have released Psycho 2, Psycho 3, and I believe there's a Psycho 4. The Bates Motel TV show also is on Blu-ray, which is also a really cool prequel. People are interested in watching it.
My wife just watched that earlier this year. She liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. Vera Farmiga and the kid Freddie, I forgot his name. Freddie played a great Norman Bates. I really enjoyed it. My second pickup this week is a book I'm reading. John, you'll appreciate this. I'm getting ready for the game. We got the history of the Canes and the Gators. So I'm going to the game. Stop doing that. Who are you gonna? Let me ask you a question. Who are you gonna root for in this game? Because you hate both teams.
I am rooting for
lightning,
Black Plague,
lightning to call down from the sky.
Lightning, Black Plague, anything, frogs, whatever it may be, to disrupt the game and make sure that their seasons are canceled.
All right. Well, I know you hate the Gators more than you hate the Canes, so whatever.
I mean, it's equal hatred.
So yes, really cool book. It's the history of the Hurricanes football team versus the University of Florida football team, going up until the 2016 game. So it's pretty recent. We played one more game after that. We're playing this Saturday night, and then we're playing next year in Miami.
I'll say, Ryan, this man and the rest of our friends cannot figure out how to plan stuff.
No, we cannot. And I hate it so much, but
I have been in a group chat for our fantasy league, and these dudes have been talking about buying tickets for like 2 months. They're like, "Oh, we
bought them."
Yeah, well, yeah, you bought them for like $100 more than you could have bought them. I think,
but they went down today, and it pisses us off because now tickets behind the Hurricane bench are cheaper than the ones we bought.
buy those and sell yours.
That's what we're probably gonna do, because I want to
Yeah.
sit on the 50-yard line, so should be fun.
Yeah. Well, you'll have fun regardless.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's gonna be crazy hot too, bro. It's a 3:30 kickoff.
Ugh. Yeah, Florida
Yeah.
Heat, Gainesville.
Sticky.
Florida Heat. Yeah,
Plus,
it's gonna
in the
be really
swamp,
hot.
there's a reason it's called the swamp.
Yeah, the field is actually below sea level, and then all
Okay.
the seats rise up on either end, so all the noise just gets concentrated on the field below, and the sideline is 10 yards away from the players.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
Ooh.
you're like right on top of them everywhere.
Sounds
It's
like
crazy.
it.
Yeah.
And then are you, I mean, obviously you don't game as much as you used to. Is there anything like movies that you recently watched or anything that you're like currently reading or playing?
Yeah, I recently watched Alien Romulus. I really
How
loved
is
it.
that?
It's really, really good. It is by far the best Alien movie since Aliens. By far. And the reason I like it so much is it's basically like the greatest hits of Alien and Aliens. So like if you've seen Alien and Aliens, it's like the best of those two movies combined, and they make Romulus, because it takes place on the timeline between Alien and Aliens. So it's a really cool filter movie that
it's like a 1.5 made 20 years later.
Yeah, it's like a Rogue One. Like if you saw Star Wars Rogue One,
I love
it's like
that one.
How does it compare
you're really gonna like this one.
How's it? I mean, Prometheus is my favorite out of like all of the Alien and like obviously prequel type films. How does it compare to like Prometheus?
There's a little Easter egg towards the end of the movie that links it to Prometheus.
Okay,
so it's pretty
I figured
cool.
there might be something like that.
But it was phenomenal. The last 45 minutes of the movie are very intense. I loved it. And there's a nice little throwback to the original Alien that if fans of that movie will appreciate. In some way.
Chest breaking open.
I'm not gonna say watch the movie.
Oh, man. All right, all right.
Support filmmakers.
I'll try.
Serious,
I'll try. I know. Yeah, we got $5 movie tickets by us, so
I know. Tomorrow on Tuesday, remember it's $5 ticket Tuesday.
Yeah, we have that too out here.
Yeah,
very nice. Any other films or no?
That's pretty much it. I saw recently Lawrence of Arabia for the first time ever in theaters.
I've been wanting to watch that.
That was a phenomenal experience. It was over 3 hours, almost 4 hours.
Oh my God.
It had an intermission, so that was good. A nice 15-minute intermission. Yesterday I actually resaw the 70th anniversary of Hitchcock's Rear Window, which is one of my favorite movies of all times. That's pretty much it in terms of movies I've been watching recently. I want to get back into games because you, John, and the people in the group chat are all playing college football 2025.
Oh, I don't have it
yet. Oh, okay. Oh,
I'm waiting. I'm waiting. No, you and I will be on even playing field. You know.
Okay. All right.
So when you get it, I'll get it.
But you see, I gotta get a PS5 first. I don't have that yet. I'm slipping.
Well, dale.
Dale. I know. Thank you, Pitbull.
Yeah. I can't wait to play in Pitbull Stadium. It's gonna be great.
Oh my God, I can't believe that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So Ryan, FIU or Florida International University, they renamed their stadium Pitbull Stadium.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He basically paid however much money to have his name put on the stadium.
Do they he all the time?
Maybe.
I think
it has a mascot change? Like, is it a bald panther now or
no? It's just they dropped the golden panther. It's just panther now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's probably like a panther with sunglasses and a white line underneath its nose.
Yeah, something like that. Pitbull is going to perform at the opening game, I believe, on September 7th.
Oh, sick.
He'll be there. Yeah, so it's going to be like a Pitbull concert. It's going to be, bro. It's going to be crazy. I want to actually go to one of the games to see how it is because they're probably going to be
the tickets are going to be cheaper then. Yeah, they're going to be cheaper.
Yeah, but I know somebody who works in the FIU athletic department, so he can get me the hookup.
Nice.
But it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be all Pitbull all the time. The word "dale" is gonna be everywhere in the stadium.
I told Javier they're gonna have probably some instead of powdered donuts, there's gonna be something else in the concession stands.
Yeah,
all types of sizes, dime bags, nickel bags. It's gonna be an interesting time, Miami. Ryan, how about yourself? Pickups and what we're currently playing.
Yeah, so this week, no video game pickups, but I did get into something new and fun for me. I was watching a Moist Critical video earlier this week, and he was talking about, or it must have been last week, he was talking about the One Piece card game. So I went out and got myself a couple of starter
Nice.
decks. I got the Sanji and Zoro deck, and then I got the Three Brothers deck. It comes with Luffy, Sabo, and Ace. So you've got some different choices. And I played a few matches with a friend. It is a really fun game. I like it. It's a lot different than Magic. And I'm really looking forward to playing some more and
Does it play
getting
like
more into One
Yu-Gi-Oh?
Piece. No, so it's got I don't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh really, but like it's got a system where you have your separate deck of Dawn cards. These are like your resource. So you get 2 Dawn a turn, except for whoever goes first. That first turn, they only get 1. But these will give your characters plus 1,000 attack on your turn. And then you try to swing at your opponent's captain or any like character cards that are like tapped on the field. You can discard cards from your hand to get like a little, you're never going to be able to read this, but you get like a counter bonus that adds to like your captain's defense. And it's just very like swinging at each other. Cards have multiple uses, and it's a game where you have like life cards instead of like a counter number. So every time you take damage, you draw a card. Some of those cards have like on trigger effects. So it seems really cool. I love me some One Piece. I'm excited to see what else is out there. I love the art on some of these cards.
Yeah,
It's
they
really
look cool. They look cool.
This one's sick.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they're
bro.
like
They
a
got,
nice,
like,
they're a thick card too.
yeah, they're real.
They look holographic too. Are they holographic?
Yeah, so they have like lots of different styles of rares and stuff. And the guy at the game store was saying it's not like Magic where you have to get like a certain pack to have like a % chance at maybe getting like some cool card. Like I think they're a little bit more fair, and they all look really good. It's a Bandai card game, so I guess it plays similar to like Digimon. But yeah, that's what I've been doing and playing this week, really.
Do the cards tie into like a video game of any kind or like a mobile app?
No, they're just like a trading card game, just like Magic or Pokemon or any of that. I don't
I'd
even know if
imagine.
they have like an online version yet or not, because I think the game only started last year or the year before.
It would have been last year because I started watching One Piece in 2023. So when I started watching One Piece. Yeah. Which I need to catch up. Huh?
I tried to watch it and I just couldn't get into it, man. Like I don't know if it's my type of show or not.
How many episodes? How many episodes did you get through?
I mean, like 1 or 2 max.
Okay, you gotta give it their shot. I mean, so here's the thing. I think this is how I get into it. Watch the live action.
Read the manga.
He doesn't do much reading.
Or watch the live action.
Whoa, relax. Really I have the entire Death Note collection.
You can read?
Yes, I can read.
So if anybody's wondering like why I'm crapping on a guest, I've known him for like 30 years. So it's the main reason. Yeah, so I have the right to crap
he gets that pass forever.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So back to you not being able to read. So I would say watch the live action on Netflix first. See how you kind of like that. If you can get into that, the show is 10 times better than the live action. And the live action, the anime takes a little bit. Like the first couple episodes, you're not going to get into it. I would say, and it's dependent on everybody. Like some people, they have to get through like the first 100, 200 episodes before they get into it. Some people, it's the first 30 or 40. It's highly dependent.
Do you have 20 minutes times like 1,300.
Hey, I did the
You
math.
have that much time.
It's
That's
17.
nothing. I don't have a life, you know.
So it's 17 minutes. First off, I'll just after you figure out like prior episode and music and outro, all that stuff. 17-minute episodes, okay, times 1,120. I think right now it actually comes out
Wow,
to
bro.
like I want to say it's like 400 hours of content. That's what it comes out to right now, which in the
It's
grand scheme of
crazy.
things is 200 movies, right? So
Yeah.
you realistically, like, honestly, you can get through like 5, 6 episodes of One Piece a day. Doing like your
Yeah.
normal everyday stuff, you could very easily watch like 5 episodes. But I would say, yeah, go through it and like watch, 40, 50 episodes. If you get to that point and you're like, nah, I don't like it, cool. But I can tell you that there is some very good long-term storytelling. I mean, we're like 1100 whatever episodes in, and there's stuff coming up now that was like brought up in prior seasons, and I'm like, holy crap, like this is just pure amazing writing. Like it's so good, dude. I would say
So
it's
is it
probably
like is it like Arc the Lad? Like you remember you lent me that and I love it.
no, not at all. Arc the
Okay,
Lad's
not
like
at all.
26
Okay.
episodes. That's not even like a
Okay.
quarter of an
No,
arc
but
in
I
One
mean,
Piece.
in terms of quality and like storytelling.
So yeah, I mean, like, well, Arc the Lad is very niche, but like the storytelling in Arc the Lad, I always really enjoyed that video game. And then obviously the anime was pretty good in my opinion. That's based on Arc the Lad 2,
Mm.
that show. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Ryan. It's an old ADV anime, but it's pretty good. I have a physical copy
I've
of it if
seen
you
the
ever want to
game on
watch it.
your shelf like every time I come over.
Yeah, so Arc the Lad 1 was like a 10-hour tactical based RPG. They're all tactical based, 1, 2, and 3. And Arc the Lad 2, I forget the kid's name in Arc the Lad 2. Elk is his name. And
Elk the
that
Lad?
well,
Yeah,
Arc the Lad. Arc is still technically a character within the
Is he
game,
still a
actually.
lad or did he grow up?
He did grow up, actually. He did grow up.
But
Yeah, so Ryan's not even a dad, and he's got dad jokes. So Arc the Lad 2 is what that anime is based off of. I would say from a story perspective, I'm a very big fan of Arc the Lad. I always enjoyed that
Yeah.
anime. Same with like Last Exile. Last Exile is really good too. But I would say One Piece, it's totally different, man. I mean, it's a crazy kid who eats a fruit that can turn into like he can turn himself into rubber. Other pirates
yeah.
throughout the show have different abilities. Like it's that crazy anime feel. Like when I first saw
Yeah.
One Piece, I was like, I'm not going to get into this. It's way too kiddie. There's not enough like adult type content tied to it. And then as you progress, the show just gets like grittier and bloodier
Okay.
and just more violence.
Now
more
you get my
cursing.
attention. Now you got my attention.
Yeah,
The
like
Leonardo
400 or
meme coming up.
500 episodes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it just like you just notice like, and it's cool because like you see his growth as a character. Like there's one arc where something crazy happens. I'm not going to go into it because if you decide to watch it, but like
Yeah.
I'll just say something happens to a character, and then it has like a time gap of I think it's like 3 or 4 years, isn't it, Ryan? In
I think
that
it's
section,
2 years?
it might be 2 years, but he goes through like extensive training and like gets to the point where he really just grows up, right? He goes from just wanting to be like a pirate to wanting to be a pirate, like really kind of
Yeah.
hammering in on this dream of his. And like I said, the animation gets so much better and that's obvious,
They're
right? Because it
redoing the
started.
animation now. Actually, that's probably going to be the best time to jump in. They're
Mhm.
going to start over from the beginning.
Yeah,
Like, do it
Netflix is doing a new anime essentially of it where they're going to try and condense and get like kind of like how you had Dragon Ball Z and then you had the other version that came out,
Yeah.
and it like
Kai.
reduced all of the Kai, and it reduced all that filler stuff of the fights.
Mhm.
It's going to be very similar in that respect. But if you were a Dragon Ball Z fan and you didn't like Kai, you might want to watch the original One Piece. I personally absolutely love it. It's one of the best decisions I ever made catching up to an anime. And like I'm reading the manga, I watched the live action, I watched a regular one on a weekly basis, like in Japanese, which I hate watching subbed anime, and I'm willing
What?
to watch this.
No,
Yeah.
bro. That's the
And I'm
only way to watch it. Come on, man.
I hate it. Well, the main thing is like I got so much stuff going on in the day, but if I can
Oh,
watch it
okay.
with
Yeah.
English audio, I can kind of still listen in. Whereas
Okay,
if it's
yeah.
subbed, I like have to sit down, I have to pay attention and to what's happening. I can't just watch it in the background. So
At least if you watch an international movie, you watch it, with the subtitles, correct?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like if I'm
Okay,
sitting down to
okay.
watch a film, yeah, absolutely. I hate the lip movement on
Oh
English
man,
dubs.
and the dubbing. Oh my god, terrible.
Yeah, it's really bad. Like they can't
Like
match the
I
lips.
I I try to watch Gojira -1 in English, and I'm like, no, go back to Japanese.
Yeah.
By
Yeah,
the way,
that's how
great movie, great movie. If
It
you haven't
is a
seen
good
it.
one.
I haven't finished it yet. I started and then I fell asleep, but not because it wasn't good. It's just, that's my life
Stop
now.
lying. It's because it wasn't good. You didn't like
No,
it.
I liked it. I was into it, but I just knocked out, dude.
All right. Well,
Okay.
let's take this conversation about animes and movie and let's kind of focus in the direction we were going to go anyways and pivot over to what are between the three of us, we'll try to come up with some kind of consensus here. What are the
Oh,
5 best video game, movie, TV show adaptations?
I think we're all
Alright,
gonna
well
have different ones, but we might have some crossover.
I gotta throw
I'm
Fallout out there. That was just
yeah.
the best one, and that one just came out, so that's like fresh off the presses for me.
Well, why don't we list
I
like our
haven't
top
seen that
5?
one, but I did see The Last of Us, and to me, that's like the best. But I'm
The
a
Last of
bias
Us is incredible.
because
Why don't
I love the video games so much.
we list our top 5? And
Okay.
then from there,
I
we can see
didn't
where
write down a list of 5.
Oh, well, I wrote down a list of 5 and Javier wrote down a list of 43 apparently.
Yeah, I didn't like number them, but I just wrote like 43 movies and then I grouped them in best and worst. So I have a
All right.
long list.
I'll give you like my top 5 movies. Last of Us and Fallout, phenomenal, but I'm gonna go to movie route here because that's
Mhm.
generally where things get screwed up when it comes to adaptations. The shows
Yeah.
seem to be like much better. So, in terms of movies, I have at number 1 for me, Detective Pikachu.
That
I
was
was
a good
gonna
one.
say that one. I love
That
that one.
that's a good one. I actually just recently rewatched it. Sonic
Does
the Hedgehog.
Pokemon the show count as an adaptation of the game?
Not really, because didn't the show come first?
They were kind of like an all-in-one product. It was like a triple threat, a
Yeah.
video game, a show, a toy line.
Yeah. I
Cards.
think Ryan
Yeah.
is right. I think it does count as an adaptation.
Probably does. But then there's a lot of Pokemon too, so you can go down a rabbit hole there.
Yeah, you can go down the animated movies
We'll
and all that.
just put the Pokemon franchise as one entity on this.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Sonic the Hedgehog, the first one.
I
did
love
like the
Thank
second
you.
one.
The second one was trash, bro. I'm sorry.
I like the second one,
liked
but
it.
not as much as the first.
I
No, the
haven't
first
seen
one's
the second
classic,
one
man.
again, but I've
This-
watched the first one several times again.
Yeah,
the
the first one.
post
The first one's really good.
credit scene in the second one.
I know that's
Yeah.
like the highlight. That's like the
Oh, yeah.
only part that I like.
And we almost got Sonic. Like, remember the original
Yeah.
Sonic with the teeth and the hands?
Yeah,
I
Imagine if
remember
it had been that.
that was one of our one of our first 50 episodes was talking about that one.
Was it
So,
really? Oh my god.
Yeah, it was a
Forever
long time ago. Yeah, 302 now, and that was like episode like 35 or 40. I don't remember.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. So I have the 2021 Mortal Kombat on my
Oh,
list.
come on, bro.
All the Mortal
dude,
Kombats.
I enjoyed that adaptation. Dude, I love it.
There was
I thought
no
it fun.
tournament. There was no like tournament.
That's
it was
true.
just like
That's
very
because
true.
we're saving it for the next one. We have, to
but they're
build
not
to
gonna
this.
make the next one because it bombed at the
Okay.
box office.
You can't put that over the original Mortal Kombat.
No,
though.
exactly. Yes.
The original
Mortal
90s
Kombat,
one, that's the
the
best.
1995 one.
I haven't seen that one in a while, so I need to rewatch it.
Fun fact about me, that was the very first movie I ever saw in theaters.
Oh,
Really?
sick.
Yes.
I think
in
mine
95.
was Lion King.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. You're gonna appreciate this one, Javier. The 2018 Tomb Raider.
Yes, I really, really like that movie.
That
She
I,
was the
really good.
best Laura Croft.
Yeah,
that to me
Alicia
felt
Vikander
like
is amazing.
the movie didn't do so great in theaters, and it got like not the greatest of reviews.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, like that looked like Laura Croft.
Yeah.
You know, like that.
And it kind of
was-
captured the essence of the games they remade recently.
Yeah, it looked very
Yeah.
much like the newer games, and so that to me was a top one. And then this one surprised me. I watched this one this past year or this year, Gran Turismo.
That's also on my list.
Yeah.
Gran Turismo is really good. Really,
Yeah,
really good.
I was pleasantly surprised. I was on a recent trip for work, and sometimes you have access to movies. So I think I was flying back on like a weekend. So rather than do work on the on the plane. It was, let me watch Gran Turismo. I think I got through like 30 or 40 minutes, fell asleep because I fall asleep on planes,
Yeah.
and then finished it up when I got home. And that
Let
was
me
it
ask
was
you
a really good
this:
film.
how sick are the racing scenes in that movie?
Oh my god, dude.
They're
They're
so
so
well
good.
shot, bro. It's
Yeah.
by the director who did District 9.
Oh, really? And I
Mm.
like that movie too. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
that movie's amazing. One of the best sci-fi movies of the century.
Yeah.
But yeah, the racing sequences in that movie are unbelievable.
Yeah, and a story in general. So it's based on a true
Yeah, it was
story,
pretty
which is
good.
pretty cool. So like when I first saw, I'm like, how the heck are you gonna get, this obviously a racing simulator and turn it into a movie? Well, they did that through taking a true story based on taking the
Yeah,
video game and projecting it into creating a racer, right? From
yeah,
like the best, basically saying we could turn a Gran Turismo player into a race car driver. And so
yeah,
that was the premise. And it's based on a real racer, and it was I think a pretty good story overall. And I didn't know
yeah,
about that, right? So like I learned some history about PlayStation at the same time that I
yeah.
would have never known if I didn't watch the movie. So, Javier, what about your top ones?
Okay, you already mentioned some of mines, so I'm gonna go over the ones you didn't mention, but I'll still mention them. The Last of Us TV show was great. I loved it. It was amazing. That's probably my number one by far. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a huge fan of the video games, especially part 2. And I cannot wait for season 2. A lot of
Gonna be
people that have
good.
not played a lot of people that have not played the games are gonna hate it
They're
because
not ready.
something major happens that I'm not gonna spoil. But yeah, they're not ready.
Yeah, a lot of golfing in that one.
Yes, if you're a fan of golfing, you're gonna love season 2 of The Last of Us on HBO. I'm gonna have to say Silent Hill. I think the original Silent Hill will
That's a
probably be
cool
my
one.
number 2. I really loved how the gothic horror aspect of it. I thought it was very well done. Pyramid Head looks amazing in it. The production design was badass.
And I think you take that one, like, if you have it from like, if you were to say Silent Hill 1, whatever Silent Hill you want, and you try and do like a
Yeah,
direct comparison, you're like, oh man, like this isn't exactly the best movie. But I remember the director for that film actually played through the Silent Hill games to get more of that feel of Silent Hill. And like he was so into it because of that. Um, the film itself doesn't have like the best reviews, but I think if you kind of look at it from the Silent Hill world and its own like own story, it was a very good film. Now, Revelations, I think, has like a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. Everybody hates it. I still need to watch it. But the first one I felt was pretty good too.
yeah. Well, John, you already mentioned Detective Pikachu, which I really loved. It was awesome. I mean, I don't know if this counts as a video game movie. Free Guy.
Oh,
Maybe.
yeah. Ryan
I mean,
Reynolds,
it's
right?
not a direct like adaptation, but I mean, it is like the conglomeration of like.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same thing. Like I would say, Wreck-It Ralph would be fair game because
yeah. That's
it's
also
not an
on my list.
adaptation, but it is like.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like Pixels. Pixels might also be in that group of category. That category that's
Yeah,
not a
Not
video
not
game.
near the top though.
Yeah.
No, not near the top. No,
Definitely not.
Pixels is a guilty pleasure. I love Pixels, by the way.
Although I will say
Um,
it's Billy Mitchell, right? I always forget the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Billy
Yeah.
Mitchell. The portrayal of him seems fairly accurate though, right?
I've never seen it.
Oh, really? Okay, you got to watch
No.
it just for the Billy Mitchell.
Oh God.
yeah, and I think probably to round out my top 5, I think I'm on number 3 or 4 right now. I really did enjoy the Super Mario Brothers movie, the animated one. I thought it was very
Yes.
well done.
Thank you.
I loved how they had parts of the movie where you didn't like it. Come on,
No.
bro, really?
It's not my favorite. Look, I can enjoy it for what it is, but the pacing of it I felt was pretty bad. It's obviously a
You didn't
kids
like the
movie.
Peaches song? You have to like the Peaches song.
I mean, a Peaches song's catchy because it's Jack Black and I
Okay.
like Tenacious D. Like that kind of all works out. But no, like I just wasn't a huge fan of that movie. I've been on record on here saying it's not the best film. It's mainly because of the pacing and
Yeah,
there
it's very nostalgia too.
yeah, there's way too much nostalgia, like Easter eggs tied in, right? Like I
Yeah.
would much rather have had like a quarter or half the amount of Easter eggs to save it for other films. So when you watch those
Yeah.
other films, like the Blue Shell, right? Oh wow, the Blue Shell is in this
Yeah.
film, or DK throwing a
Yeah,
banana
yeah,
behind. Like I kind of wish it would have been spread out into the different films that they have planned out, but we're not going to get I mean, we'll get more nostalgia kicked in, but things
Yeah.
like Easter eggs, right? When they bust down the wall to be able to get to like the sewage or the piping situation
Yeah, it
in
becomes like
underground,
a
right?
side scroller.
Well, not so much that. Like the side scroll in the beginning is cool, but like when they bust into like the underground in the sewer area to try and fix a
Mhm.
pipe, there's like a shape of Mario that's made out of bricks, right? Like
Yes,
Easter
yes,
eggs
yes.
like
I
that,
remember.
I felt would have been, in my opinion, would have been cooler because you're like, oh, like there's an Easter egg there, right?
Yeah.
Like versus, oh, hey, I'm blowing like the cartridge blowing was kind of fun, right? Like the
Yeah, yeah,
Toads
yeah.
are talking like old video games, are like, oh, you got to blow in the cartridge or whatever. That type of stuff to me was really cool, but the constant like, you
Yeah,
know,
I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
there was just a lot going on in that I kind of wish I didn't like vomit all over with like the nostalgia and would have kept it a little like a little more story oriented to kind of capture you versus like
So
let's throw in all the
s
nostalgia.
so you wanted it more like Sonic. Sonic has that, but not
Yeah.
way too
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I like Sonic so
Well,
much.
Sonic was just like wholesale, like, all right,
Yeah.
here's an owl you've never heard about before that was Sonic's mom, and now
Yeah.
she's dead.
Like that, but I mean, like that was kind of hilarious, right? But like
that
that,
was hilarious.
but you had like some sort of like, even though it wasn't direct like canon. I mean, maybe it is canon now, but like
Don't know.
you didn't have like that direct lineage to the game in a sense,
Yeah.
and it's a little different, right? Because like they took it the approach of like live action mixed with animation versus this was pure animation, and you were kind of with Mario, it's pretty broad, right? You could do a whole lot of ways to start that up with Bowser or any of the Koopas, whatever it may be. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they could have gone about it a different way, but it's a kids movie. It's supposed to be fun and weird
I think
pacing
that
and stuff like
I
that.
think that's why that's why I enjoyed it so much. It's what you were saying, John, that yeah, it's very nostalgia driven and there's so much sensory overload between the Mario Kart racing and the
Mhm.
blue shell and everything. But that's what I loved about it. I wanted to see all the Mario things in it. But that's
Yeah,
just
and
me.
Thank you.
yeah. Well, and I was,
Finally,
and
somebody with some logic around here. I've been having to listen to this guy talk bad about the Mario movie for years now.
but see,
Nah,
but
nah,
not
nah.
years. But Javier
I'm on your
understands
side, Ryan.
But Javier
Yeah, I understand
understands
your
my
point.
point. Like he understands my
Yeah.
point there. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, he's not
All right.
shitting all over it like you do, Ryan.
No.
Mm.
All right, for number 5, I'm surprised you guys didn't say it, John, but it's a forgotten movie in the video game movie world. Final Fantasy Advent Children.
I was just looking at that. Hell yeah.
I love that movie so fucking much. That movie is such a great like
I don't think I've seen it.
continuation of the Final Fantasy story with Cloud and Tifa and everybody. I really
Yeah.
love that movie.
I don't think I've seen that one yet.
Oh, you have to watch that. It's
Yeah,
way
what-
better than the Final Fantasy movie, the other one.
Spirits Within.
Yes, that one.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. I was looking
no.
at that earlier today.
Yeah. You gotta check it out, bro. It's really good. The Blu-ray edition is really, really good too.
So Ryan, you didn't have anything listed on yours,
Well,
right?
I think that we've hit pretty much everything good. Like I've been kind of browsing while we've been talking. Some that I like that haven't been mentioned. I did like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie that came out.
Oh.
I
I have
thought
that actually on
was
my
fun.
worst list.
Oh yeah. Let's see what else was out that was like okay on here. Like all the Pokemon movies are on here, but we already kind of talked about that. Like I know it's not a good movie, but Doom. You guys remember the Doom movie?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they had that like first person shooter like mode that they
Yeah.
went in like
Wasn't
near
it
the
The
end of
Rock?
the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
The
that was
is
The
The
Rock.
Rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Max Payne, I know some people like that, and the Hitman, I think some people have some affinity for that.
Mhm.
The Street Fighter movie is legendarily bad. That's like definitely a
Oh,
so
yeah.
bad it's good watch.
Well, there's like a newer
Cobb
one.
Van Damme.
Is
Yeah,
there a newer Street Fighter movie?
Yeah,
that came out?
it's called
Yeah,
The
the
Legend of
Chun-Li
Chun-Li.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chun-Li
Legend of
one.
Chun-Li. Yeah. I haven't
And
seen
then
that one yet.
looking at the IMDb
Oh.
list that I found, or Rotten Tomatoes list that I found here with like the highest
Nice.
ratings, the top video game adaptation movie is Werewolves Within from 2021.
I saw that list too, and I have never heard of that movie before.
And then
yeah.
the Angry Birds movie 2. Like what?
Well, see,
That's
here's-
higher than Detective Pikachu by 4%.
Well, yeah, and I saw that list too, and they had Borderlands rank like number 25, and I was like, okay, somebody's like clearly
Yeah.
hanging out at Pitbull Stadium at the concession.
But yeah, there's so I think that's a pretty comprehensive list of most of the best ones.
Yeah, I mean, people
Yeah.
are going to disagree with some of them, right? Like Silent Hill's a very controversial one, I feel, in terms
Yeah.
of being really good, and even
I just really love it because I'm a huge fan of horror. So
yeah,
I think that plays more like a horror film. If you didn't know it was a video game, then it might surprise you because it's a really good horror movie by
well,
horror
and
movie
like
Yeah.
standards.
and average ratings are out there for everybody, right? Like if you have somebody,
Yeah.
oh, 40% of people like the movie, well, that means that like some people like really enjoyed it, and that kind of aggregates out to what it was, right? So you're gonna have like different tastes out there. There's people that Uncharted obviously is one that we think is absolute trash. But if you take that movie and you just kind of look at it from like an action popcorn flick with no affinity towards like the
The
actual
series.
game, it's not terrible. It's not the worst movie you've ever seen. But when you look at it from the
That
lens of who's playing Nathan Drake, who's playing Sully, the
Marky
story, like,
Mark, really? Marky Mark.
yeah,
Come on,
right?
man.
Like the movie itself just doesn't hit the mark where it needs to. But
Yeah.
if you do take it from the lens of like, hey, it's just called Uncharted. It's got nothing to do with a video game. It's not a terrible movie,
Yeah.
in that respect.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way and that's the
That
way I look at a lot of these adaptations, right? When I'm going and it's like, is it a fun movie to watch? And so like the Mortal Kombat movie, the reason that made my list is because stupid amount of fatalities. Like there was a lot of, tie-ins of different characters, the cameos that were from these, like I enjoyed that, right? Like there was nostalgia tied into it, but it was just a fun movie to watch. And that's kind of the way
yeah.
I went into that. No, oh, okay, this is going to be like the best Mortal Kombat movie that's ever come out. Like I just wanted a kind of cool story and something that involved all the Mortal Kombat fighting and things that come with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Any before we move on to our first article here, anything in regard to like the worst movies
Oh man. I
or
mean,
worst shows?
I can just name some of them on my list.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
fine.
got
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, the Warcraft movie.
Hey, that wasn't
Um,
terrible, but it was pretty bad. I just saw that
the ori-
recently for the first time.
the original Super Mario Brothers, the live action one, which
don't
is
like
a
Resident
classic.
Evil 3 on.
You don't like Toad looking like a live action Goomba? No?
No, I don't. No. Let's see what else.
Blood
Dead or
Rain.
Alive. Yes, I was about
Okay.
to say that any movie directed by Yuval Bo was trash. So we have Blood Rain, Far Cry, Postal, Alone in the Dark, and House of the Dead. All terrible.
Yeah. I'm just going back to that original Mario. If like, can you imagine Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, but it's that Captain Toad?
Oh god.
Bro, and they made John Leguizamo fucking Luigi. Come on, man.
Oh man. All right. Let's go into the first article here, and that is all 15 games featured in the news show Secret Level. So if you didn't watch Gamescom, right? I honestly didn't
Gamescom
watch it.
opening night.
Gamescom.
live.
Yeah, so Amazon revealed a new anthology series based on video games called Secret Level. So this comes to us from Kenneth Shepard at Kotaku. Ryan, you've got the list. Go ahead and rattle it off, and we can kind of talk about that trailer.
Yeah, so they had a pretty strong showing for this, I think. I really like the choices that they made, and I'm excited to see most of them. So the list that I got here, we've got Pac-Man, Warhammer 40,000, Concord, Mega Man, Unreal Tournament, New World 8 Eternum, Armored Core, Spelunky, Honor of Kings, Sifu, Dungeons and Dragons, The Outer Worlds, Crossfire, Exodus, and PlayStation, which will feature a number of PS games and characters. So this is like pretty across the board. Like they really reached out to a bunch of different studios, and from that trailer, it looks like there's a lot of great
Yeah.
design and minds and artists behind this. Because like that was a dope looking, like just little snippet shot of Mega Man, the 40K to kind of like opening the trailer, like
I
right
thought
on
that
the
was a
tail end of-
so when I first saw the 40K, I thought it was Harry Potter.
Oh, really? Because it was
Yeah, I
all like
thought-
dark and glowy.
Yeah, so I saw like the dark and glowy and like the different colors. I'm like, Harry Potter, like what's going on here? And
Yeah.
then they show like the 40K. I'm like, wait, I can't tell if it's, Harry Potter slinging spells or if it's 40K. I couldn't tell. And then did you catch it? It looks like Keanu Reeves is actually the one piloting. Yeah, for
He is,
the
Armored Core.
Armored Core. That one's gonna be
Yeah.
sick. But Concord, man, like, oh man, after the week
They really want
launch
us
that
to like
they had this, I can't believe that they're tying into this. That's gonna be such like the last thing anybody ever sees from Concord.
So a follow-up, by the way, to what we talked about in the last episode, and that it didn't hit 1,000 people for like concurrent streaming or concurrent players.
Oh, it wasn't even 700.
No, I know it hit under 1,000. Obviously, no, I think it was like 750. We got to give them a little grace there. But apparently, the $40 that we talked about is a barrier, right? Like, so having that free to play is likely the direction they're going to have to go to get some people to play that game. So that's just a general follow-up. Yeah.
When you sent me the trailer, John, and I saw it, I was blown away. I was like, Kratos is in it.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna check this out. It looks so fucking cool.
Jin from Ghost of Tsushima is in there.
Yeah.
That Sifu one, like I never played Sifu, but that was just kind of like kung fu, straight up, just like two dudes going at it, and I'm sure that that's gonna be like a really sweet like kung fu adaptation to see.
Yeah, right. I want to see two dudes going at it.
Yeah, I don't know how Spelunky's gonna be. I bet that's gonna be interesting too.
Well, and so like New World is an Amazon property. It's one of their games, so it obviously was going to make an appearance as well. So I don't know. Some of them I kind of like D&D. Like I question if that's actually D&D. Like I don't know. Have they announced and said yes, it's Dungeons and Dragons? Or
I mean, they're saying it on Forbes.
I mean, that's what they're saying.
Yeah, it's Dungeons and Dragons.
But has it come from the actual like creators of his show that said, "Hey, it's Dungeons and Dragons"? Okay. Honestly, I wasn't sure because it could have been any game that had as a dragon.
No, I mean they don't just write articles guessing. Like they confirm their stuff.
I mean, come on. We live in America. You think that these news or editorial companies are confirming their sources? So
no,
I mean
no, they're not. They're taking wild guesses, man. They're taking shots in the darks on some of this stuff. Like, for example, one of the things I was
Paul
watching.
Tassi is a really well-informed and well-renowned games journalist, so I'm sure Paul Tassi knows that it was Dungeons and Dragons, John.
Just saying. Hey, just saying. It's American. It's the American media. Just saying. Javier's probably got a whole episode on that.
It's not Fox News.
Yeah, we do. Oh, we definitely do. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it could be anything. Like for example, they're taking guesstimates on like where's Kratos? They're saying, oh, Kratos is in like a street, like just a normal street.
PlayStation, which will feature a number of PS games and characters.
Yeah, but he's like literally in in between buildings. Like that's not his world and what he's in. Like that's not normal. So they're like, oh, maybe there's time travel involved in the PlayStation part. It's like, like shots in the dark for some of that. So yeah. So I don't know. The Dungeons and Dragons is the only one that stood out to me. I'm like, I don't 100% know. Maybe it's verified. Cool. Totally understand that. But it could be anything with a dragon in that respect.
Yeah.
We will see.
Yeah, we will. We'll have to watch it when it comes out.
But yeah, this is going to be good. I'm stoked for this. I didn't see the Love Death and Robots. I think it's the series creators of that who are doing this.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one, Javier?
No, I haven't seen it. No.
Yeah, I haven't either. I'll have to watch it now. Cool. All right, well, let's move into the next piece of our discussion, which is so based on the time of recording, this may change. Not 100% sure. But barely 3 weeks after its $90 million flop, the Borderlands movie is reportedly giving up on cinemas and going straight into streaming. So I think it'll be, is it Max that's going to? I don't remember.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. And so this is from Hirun Cryer at Games Radar. And Ryan, you put another damn typo in here to try and catch me off guard. You have Games Radar. It's definitely Games Radar. Yeah, he does it to me every week, man. Every week. There's always a typo.
No, I was at work. I was trying to type it all out on my phone. And
he does it on purpose. He wants you to fuck up on purpose.
Dude, he's done this so many times.
I sent you the director this week.
You did.
Try to help you out.
Yeah, I got Hideyuki Geta Iwashita. So yeah, I'm good this week. But yeah, he'll send me like names that are I botch the name and I'm like, that's because you got a misspelling midway through, and it confuses me. Same with dates; those are always great too. But I digress. Let's go into Borderlands here. So I watched a movie twice for some stupid reason. You watched it once, Javier, took a lot of notes, and then Ryan, you did not watch it. Thankfully,
No, not yet.
yeah. Oh, not
One
yet.
day.
Okay. I don't know. You might not want to. It's to me right now. This is like the Avatar movie that M Night Shyamalan made, where I will never
Oh
set
my
my
god,
eyes.
Lady in the Water.
Oh yeah, that too. So I will not set my eyes on Avatar, and you should probably do the same with Borderlands. I'll just give you that warning.
Yes.
So I'll give my shorter analysis because Javier's got like 17 pages of notes that he hopefully scaled down a little bit.
I
To
did.
me,
Don't worry about it.
the story to me was non-existent. I felt the pacing was absolutely horrible. The casting that they did was terrible as well. I could not follow along with the plot whatsoever in that story, and the casting
Yeah.
did not make it helpful. There's a lot of one-liner fart jokes throughout the film. Things are just cringe. At one point, this one sticks to me. Well, two of them stick to me. One of them is a badonkadonk joke in 2024.
Yes.
I'm
I wrote
not
that down. Yes.
I'm not sure how that made its way into the final script.
When I saw that line, I'm like, bro, it's 2024. What are we doing?
Yeah. There was the classic. All right, the classic Ryan. You in what army? Oh, this
Yeah,
army.
I heard about that line.
Yeah, there's that line. Their Tiny Tina or Tina is horribly cast. It just doesn't like I know enough about the Borderland movies or Borderland games to know that this is poor casting and poor development of these characters. Just, it felt to me while watching it that the actors did not have their heart in this movie. It was just a cash payout. That's all it was.
Yeah, it was a paycheck movie for Kevin Hart and Cate Blanchett and everybody else.
You could tell, like, as you're watching, you're like, they really don't care about the acting in this film.
And I knew she was in the movie, but I totally forgot. Like halfway through, Jamie Lee Curtis pops up, and I'm like, "You're in this too?"
Yeah,
come on, man.
Like all-star casting outside of Kevin Hart, and everybody else. So yeah, just Cate Blanchett and Jamie Lee Curtis. So that's your all-star cast, and it. Like I said, it just was not the greatest film, and then the CGI was bad. Like
terrible.
It was really bad. So Javier, you go into that's just my non-filmmaker trying to critique a movie that was just bad. So you give us your deeper analysis on this.
As a filmmaker, okay, I'm not gonna read everything, but I did circle the highlights. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed this, John, but the very first joke of the movie was about Kevin Hart's height.
I didn't notice, but it makes
so
sense.
like when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, this is what we're doing. Okay.
Well, he said there was like no air holes in the mask that he was wearing.
Yeah.
Like I caught that too.
It was very exposition heavy at the beginning because I know they have to explain the whole world of Borderlands and Pandora and Iridians, I think they're called, from Iridia, something like that.
See, like I understood having like the exposition at the very front of the movie, but then when she hits Pandora and then there's an exposition about the things that she's going through, and she's like, oh, and then there was some like why would you have an exposition like 30 minutes into the movie at that point explaining what happened as you're like going through Pandora?
And that's another thing that really got me was the fact that they started out with a heavy voiceover narration, and then as the movie went on, it just stopped, and then it kind of picked up a little bit towards the end. Yeah. Like I hate movies that do that. That if you're gonna do voiceover narration, you gotta be consistent with it throughout the whole movie.
What else you got?
Okay, what else I got? You already mentioned the terrible CGI. For some reason, Kevin Hart in one part of the movie kind of looked like he was a member of the Black Panther. I don't know if that's on purpose or if that's part of the character costume in the video game, but I thought that stood out to me.
Yeah, he kind of Roland kind of looks like that, where he's got like the
beret,
that type of the beret hat and everything. Yeah.
But he was like
a soldier traditionally.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, your call out of that, he looked like he was with Black Panther is kind of hilarious.
I mean, that's the first thing I thought, like a Black Panther soldier.
That's fair.
Hashtag no racist. That wasn't racist. I'm just saying, like objectively, it reminded me of him being a Black Panther.
You don't have to call it out. Don't worry.
All right. Just gotta cover my tracks, bro. I heard in the movie they used the Wilhelm scream. If you guys know what that is, it's the
Yeah.
very famous. It's the very famous scream that a lot of movies put into their movies that's been going around since like the 40s. It's like an inside joke.
Yeah, can
It's
you
like
describe that?
It's a very loud scream that you've heard over and over again in movies.
Oh, the Wilhelm scream.
The
I thought you
Wilhelm
said
scream.
yeah.
No, the Wilhelm scream. Yeah, that
I
was in the movie. That was pretty
I
cool.
saw like a Facebook or TikTok video of that recently where it's like, all right, we want you to scream. And he does the scream and they just are like, oh, like just clapping. Like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I was kind of expecting it, and they ended up using it because a lot of movies nowadays are using it less and less and less because it's like a running joke now between all the movies,
Yeah.
especially if it's an action film. Moving on, Bobby Lee was in the movie, the comedian.
Interesting.
Did you catch that? Yeah,
No.
he played a guy named
the
Asian guy.
Yeah.
He played a guy named Larry, and like halfway in the movie, he comes out, and I'm like, "What are you doing in this movie, bro?" Okay, there's some things that defy the laws of physics that I thought it was like in a Fast and the Furious movie that really stood out to me.
Well, I mean, it is like space and weird vehicles and robots that are
Yeah, that's another thing that stood out to me, that all the weird ways of shooting, which I'm pretty sure is part of the video game, so they just try to put it in the movie. A lot of the flipping of the gun and a lot of like tossing guns and shit like that. That was on brand with the video game, I felt.
Yeah, but the one thing that wasn't is that it's a looter shooter, right? And so the entire premise is like this vault and loot and everything else. And a lot of people have felt that the game doesn't capture that very well, like the loot aspect of it. And so that's probably a pretty fair call out, I would think, that it's not staying too true to the game at all.
Yeah. Okay. Moving along. One of my favorite things that defies the laws of physics was when they're escaping away from the Lance people, the Crimson Lance, I think they're called. So Kevin Hart's character Roland drives the car that they're escaping into a creature. He shoots the creature while in the car to make a giant hole out of it, and then just drives through the giant hole to safety.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think in that same scene, they got covered in piss. And he's like, "Oh, I got pee all in my car or whatever." And Claptrap is like, "Well, no, it's actually like 57% urine and 14% fecal." And then it like cuts him off. And I'm like, "There's your big joke." Yeah.
Yeah. He said, quote, 67% urine, 14% fecal matter.
So it's close in the percentages. I got the fecal matter right.
What else? Let's see. Oh yeah, there's a point in the movie where Lilith gets tackled into a crate, but nothing happens to her, and then she just gets back up out of the crate and starts shooting more people. Like, what is that?
Oh, they just like missed a scene or cut it or something.
Something. It feels like that they may have edited together, so because she gets tackled into a crate. The guy apparently dies tackling her, and then she gets up and continues shooting like nothing happened.
So there was a scene that I noticed towards like probably 3/4 through. Claptrap is being shot up by all the raiders, right? And they like just completely demolish all these bullets hitting him, and he's like impenetrable, right? He ends up like kind of just rolling in side to side, falls on the ground, and then he like shakes, and he's clean. Like there's no more like bad looking armor. I'm like, is that like, I haven't played enough Borderlands or anything to say like, yes, that's in the game, or no, it's not. But like, that to me seemed really weird. Like, how do you have like this busted up robot like with clear bullet marks everywhere? And
he's like Kenny. He just kind of like springs back because he's a cartoon.
But it's not so much that, it's the fact that like his entire like metal coating is like riddled with like bullet dents and blackened from all the gunpowder, and he like shakes and then he's like clean, like nothing touched him. It's like, how does that happen like instantaneously?
It's just like being
I noticed that. I didn't
like Bugs Bunny does it.
Yeah, I didn't know. I noticed that too. I was like, how that doesn't make any sense. Like,
I had to do a double take. Yeah, and it looked like the metal flew off. That's what I noticed too. It looked like a new layer of metal, like a carapace, right? I think it's carapace is the correct term. It looked like he just shed that metal, and he was fine. I was like, that's kind of
odd. One of my other favorite things that defies the laws of physics is Lilith shoots somebody that's flying through the air at her, and when she shoots the guy goes flying back in the opposite direction. Like, I'm sure that's in the video game, but that just come on, man. Like,
It makes sense. Yeah, that checks.
Man,
and
it
then
sounds like there's a lot of stuff in this movie that I do want to see, but isn't going to impress me.
no,
Yeah.
not,
I
definitely
don't know. It
not.
might impress you because it's defying the law of physics.
Yeah.
You know, you got that going for you. Anything
And
else?
I believe, yes, the last thing, which is also another thing that I don't think they thought about. There's a moment in the movie where Roland is shooting people as he's escaping, and then he continues shooting them with one gun, and then like halfway through the shootout, he takes out another gun. So I'm thinking of, why don't you just use two guns at the same time, bro?
I mean, maybe he's not good at dual wielding pistols.
Well, I mean,
Maybe.
I guess in the series, there's only like certain people who have like dual wielding, and it's like a special
Okay.
move. So maybe they were trying to keep true to it that way. That'd be my only
Mhm.
guess, really.
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't played
I
enough.
guess, yeah.
Yeah.
How's
But I
the
thought it was
ending to this
interesting.
movie?
How's the
I've
what?
heard everybody talk that like the movie's bad, but like, does it like try to set up a sequel, or is it like, does
I
it
mean, the
wrap
only
itself
way
up in like a clean way? Is it like
it
a
does,
satisfying ending for what it is?
it does in a way. So basically, the way I would describe this movie, if you haven't seen it, it's like a rescue movie that Lilith and her gang and Roland and all the people in Krieg and everybody else, they're trying to save Tina, who's the daughter of Atlas in the game, in the movie, which I'm assuming is also from the video game. And then it turns like halfway through, it turns into like a heist film. So like once they find Tina, then they have to go into the vault and try to steal something in the vault.
And then there's a classic Tina walking in as Lilith is having a conversation
Yeah.
on like being a bounty hunter and finding Tina and everything else. And it's the, classic, oh, you were never in it for me. Let me toss a grenade that defies the laws of physics as well and doesn't kill you as I run away.
That was another thing that I wrote down that I didn't mention.
Yeah, it had some really corny scenes, bad jokes.
It was entertaining. It's only 90 minutes. The first 30 minutes, I wasn't really into it. And then once I started realizing, okay, I need to take away my analytical brain and just enjoy the movie for what it is, I enjoyed it. For what it is, I enjoyed it.
It's kind of like the Uncharted thing we were just talking about, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly the same thing.
You just look at it from an action film perspective. It's going to have it like Beekeeper is another one, right? Like Beekeeper.
Oh my God.
I thought that's a phenomenal movie. I really enjoyed Beekeeper, but it's for
whoever thought
is.
that honey can explode.
It's got napalm in it, I guess. Have you seen that one
me.
yet, Ryan? Check out
With
Beekeeper on Amazon
Jason
Prime.
Statham. Jason
Yeah.
Statham is the beekeeper.
Yeah, basically,
Okay.
it's what happens when American telemarketing con men rip off old ladies tied to Jason Statham, and then he happens to be some secret operative for a military organization called
Yeah.
Beekeeper, or he's the Beekeepers, and their goal is like
Yeah.
when the U.S. government, goes corrupt, the Beekeepers come in to kill the queen and kind of set things right. It's what you would expect in a film like that. Lots of body parts flying, explosions, guns everywhere. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I believe by the director of Fury, the tank movie with Brad Pitt. If you're like that, you're definitely like the beekeeper.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess that's our review of Borderlands in a nutshell. I mean, if you go into it just kind of looking at it as an action movie with no tie to a video game, might be pretty much worth your while to watch that and enjoy. But otherwise, don't anticipate a sequel, considering it is bombed in theaters. I don't see Hollywood wasting that much money on it to try and recoup that. I think it was $120 million budget for the film, and its opening day, I think the last like 2 weeks, it only made like 20 million or something.
Yeah, currently right now, according to Box Office Mojo, which is the website that collects all the box office information, it has made $24 million worldwide, 15 million domestically, and 9 million internationally.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's a definite bomb.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's not going to get a sequel. That's why when
it's
you
going
ask,
to go
like,
straight to streaming soon.
Yeah, the last I checked, it'll actually be in streaming in like 4 days. So, but is that on demand for like, with Max, or is that a purchase type deal? Kind of like
no,
what
it'll
Amazon
probably be
does?
like for like rent or purchase, like
Yeah.
Inside Out 2 just came out the other day that way and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's on right now. I'm pretty sure if I talk into my Comcast voice controller, it's probably on there already.
it might be. I mean, last I checked,
Crazy.
it was going to be on August 30th. I think was the date that it was supposed to be up.
Yeah, that's what I
okay.
saw too.
Yeah, we're recording, a little before that. So, yeah, we'll see. At the time of this episode, it might already be streaming.
Yeah. So go
Cool.
watch it. Just
Yeah.
turn your brain off for 90 minutes.
Yeah, definitely going to turn your brain off. All right, so our inflation deflation of the week, we played some AEW Fight Forever on the PlayStation 5. This was developed by Ukes, published by THQ Nordic, directed by Hideyuki Geta Iwashita. It was released in June of 2023. It is technically sports game, but wrestling. Reception around a 6 out of 10 on average. And then I love Ryan's synopsis. Give us the in-depth synopsis here.
It's more wrestling. We've been playing
more
wrestling games all months. This is more wrestling. We've wrestled. We took it to the mat. We took it outside the ring. We climbed the ladder, and I came out on top, brother. I think I did better than John in most of these wrestling games, and John usually whoops me at most of the other games we play. So I'm pretty proud this month.
Yeah, he actually did do pretty well in these.
Interesting.
So I got to ask you, though, out of all the wrestling games that we played Rumble Roses, we played Fire Pro Wrestling, we played AEW Fight Forever, and then we played WWF No Mercy. Which out of those four was your favorite? Yeah.
So I liked playing AEW the most, but I like Fire Pro Wrestling Returns aesthetically the most.
Nice. I think for me, my favorite was Rumble Roses. And I felt that out of all the wrestling games, that one to me had the most underrated. Like that was the most underrated one out of all that we played. I felt the controls were fantastic. The wrestlers played, it was easy to control them. But AEW is
I can
pretty
think
close.
of a few reasons John really likes that one.
Yeah,
two
probably
big ones.
Two big reasons. Yeah. So, but AEW to me, like I watch AEW on a regular. So for me, like playing that game, it was fun because like that's who I'm watching on TV and stuff most times.
Yeah.
But that game, we'll get into it. It's got its quirks, right? Like for me, you don't have the full blown entrances like you do in Fire Pro Wrestling or Rumble Roses or the WWF game or any of the older WWE games and even current stuff. Like they don't do the whole big entrance, and there's not a lot of focus on that. It's predominantly focused on the arcadey style gameplay.
Yeah,
which is
nice.
nice.
That's what I noticed too.
From this,
I noticed that in the gameplay footage that I saw, that it looks very cartoonish, like the wrestling models look like. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I would say like AEW Fight Forever is more of like that. It's not a simulator. It's like an arcade style, fun type of game that you can just kind of pick up and play. Whereas something like the 2K series for WWE are very much like wrestling simulator, very realistic looking graphics. Like you're really kind of engaged in what is the WWE universe versus AEW's like what No Mercy was, right? It's a fun arcadey style wrestling game where you just do a bunch of random crap. There's fire extinguishers, chairs, sledgehammers, barbed wire bats, exploding barbed wire, tables, like tons of crazy stuff. It's easier. AEW Fight Forever is similar to No Mercy again, where you grapple, you got a few different moves you can do. A lot of stuff dealing with the X button, square for punching, triangle for kicking. Your specials are with like the right joystick. You can taunt. It's, hitting two buttons to do like a not a sunset flip, but doing like a flip off the ropes, things like that. Like it's a very quick to pick up game for wrestling. And that's whereas like Fire Pro Wrestling, when we played that, it was
impossible.
Yeah, it felt like a huge learning curve on that. Rumble Roses felt pretty quick to learn, and then No Mercy was pretty quick to learn as well. So a lot of wrestling games do have a lot going for them in terms of move sets. But you kind of have to make it easy because there are so many different move sets, and it's not like a standard fighting game where you're quick punching a couple kicks and comboing off. Like there's moves that have to be done, suplexes, arm drags, different things that, and also certain wrestlers have different moves from other wrestlers. So it's not the same as like your standard fighting game. But I did like this one. I felt it was pretty decent for what it was, but it did have its weird things that would turn me off from like playing it long term. And I've heard, we obviously played like 30, 40 minutes, played a few matches together. I know like the story mode of it's not the best. The mini games were not exactly that fantastic from what we played. But I would say for a wrestling game, it was pretty good.
Well,
Yeah.
and
I did
this
like in this. Oh no, go ahead, Ryan.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say this game was like people were excited for this because it was like a new title. Like there hasn't been an AEW game before this, so this studio, this was their first time going at this title. I'm sure if it becomes more serialized, like the other wrestling games or other sports games in general, eventually you'll start getting kind of more repeat buyers, start to kind of not have to develop from square one every time. You get a lot of that process kind of ironed out. And then you start to see, improved graphics, better modes, and other things like that come as you see more success down the road. So hopefully fans of this game and the creators, got enough out of it that we can see maybe I don't know what comes after Forever, 5 Ever.
So
AEW Fight 5 Ever.
I mean, you recognize Kenny Omega right off the bat because he does streaming and
Yeah.
plays video games
Yeah.
and such, and he's he's on the main cover, obviously. But Kenny Omega was deep into the development of this game. Like his love for video games tied him in some respect to be able to kind of oversee it. And that's pretty cool and all. From what I've heard, they're not planning on doing like a release every single year. It's going to be these season passes that they've been doing for a while. So I wouldn't anticipate a follow-up to this anytime soon. They did invest a lot of money in this engine, and the game wasn't necessarily created to make profit right off the bat. I think it was created to expand on the wrestling company's footprint because it is still considered a startup. I mean, they're only 5 years in roughly. And they're seeing their ups and downs at this point. But in general, like they built a game engine. Like that's done. Now you're right. They can continue to progress and do more things down the road with this title. But it's not going to be an immediate payoff of like, yep, all right, we're releasing the next one. Like they're going to milk this one quite a bit. And like even myself, I didn't pay for it. It was on PlayStation Plus. Right. So I got the version off of that. And I didn't intend on buying this one because I had heard that it was, 6 out of 10 roughly in terms of quality. So I didn't want to throw 30, 40 bucks into it. But, they're getting their money. PlayStation has it up for free. They obviously had to pay a certain amount of money to do that. It's in the hands of more gamers. And hopefully that results in a future, version of this game with, like you said, updated graphics, some different modes, some of the quirks that like the entrances of things that I kind of wish were a little bit better.
Yeah. The cool thing I liked about it in the gameplay footage that I saw was the fact that if you're having like a fatal 4-way match, you have to focus your eyes on the different people that you're fighting. They kind of shift your perspective. I really thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And a ladder, I really liked when we played the ladder match, Ryan. Like you had, and maybe this is for the newer ones.
Who won, by the way? Who won?
So I think Ryan won 2 out of 3, if I recall.
Something like that.
Good job, Ryan. Good job.
Yeah. Well, I was pissed because like in the ladder match, I should have won, but in the ladder match, he was climbing up. He was on the last one. Like, okay, I'll time this perfectly. I'll climb up the ladder. Well, I was trying to push over the ladder and I couldn't figure out how to push the ladder. So he's like mashing the X button, then mashing the square button to pull the casino chip, off of from the top of the ladder. And it was one of those like classic wrestling matches where the guy's like just climbing at the last minute up the ladder and the other one grabs it. I was like right there about to throw the punch and then he picked it up. Yeah, it was a pretty cool finish. So it was fun overall. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So brass tacks, right?
Break it down, John.
Complete in box. We're looking at 1552. Oh wow, that's cheap. 1552. Peaked at 5567 in July of 2023, which I think is when it was released around that time frame, right? Yeah, right around that time frame. It's holding pretty steady at that 1552 price. That's honestly not bad when I think about it. Loose copy will be 1223. That peaked at 4304 in July of 2023. And then that price is actually trending up. So that makes sense. Digital console, you can get it for $40 right now everywhere. And then on PC, it's also $40 on Steam. So I think, out of a 10 scale, I would put this probably about a 6 to a 7 out of 10 as far as like arcade style wrestling games are concerned. In my view, I think at 1552, for the quality of game that you're getting, I think that's just right.
Yeah.
Could you get it for 20 and be happy? Yeah, sure. So honestly, maybe deflated for me. Like, I think $20 I would
I'll
have
go
been willing
just
to buy
right.
this game. Okay. Well, as we did in the last recording, you said it was inflated. I said just right. We went with inflated. This time I'm saying it's deflated and just right for Muse. So I'm gonna have to say it's deflated, Ryan.
All
Law of
right.
average.
I will
Loud.
type it down.
Javier, what are your thoughts on that price point? Is this something that you'd be willing to throw down $15 with a PS5?
Sure. Sure,
Okay.
yeah. I do also like the body physiques of the wrestlers, like I was mentioning earlier. It kind of reminded me a little bit of what was the NFL backyard game back in the day?
Oh,
NFL Street.
NFL Street. It kind of
Yeah.
reminded me of that, like a very arcade-ish style. So for sure, I would definitely buy it for $15.
Yeah.
Anything under $20, yeah, I'll buy it.
There's so many wrestling games out there that are bad and around the same
Yeah.
price point. Like, this is good enough, right, for wrestling game
Yeah.
as its first version for AEW, and I think it's definitely worthwhile. If you
And
missed out on,
I like how it captures like the essence of AEW, because AEW is like kind of like the renegade, like how WCW was back in the day with WWF, now WWE. It's kind of like that. And AEW, as you and I know, John, because we watch it, it's very chaotic. They don't give a fuck. They'll do any type of match. And I feel like using the game engine that they use for this game, it kind of captures the style and like the vibe of watching an AEW match.
yeah, I agree. It does have its weird things, like
Yeah.
like Ryan, you were trying to like tackle my character and you like ran through me.
Yeah.
What?
I heard some
Yeah.
collision issues were in the game.
Yeah, there was definitely a few collision issues. He at one point, like, his character, like, I hit his character and he fell on the ground, but then he hit a ladder that was on the ground, but the ladder wasn't anywhere
Mm.
near him. So weird collision
Okay.
things. Yeah. But you know what? Games have those quirks. I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen them, and I think at this cheap of a price point, it's definitely worth it at that point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we don't have our list of our next games, but I think, well, Ryan, we kind of talked about it. I'll send you a list for the next, games that we'll play. We're looking to probably play some D&D focused video games, right? I think that's what we
There's some
agreed
good
on.
stuff out there.
Yeah, so we'll play some D&D focused video games for our next 4 games. We're also going to have an interview with the developers behind the game Crystalla. So that's going to be coming up pretty
Nice.
soon too. I'm going to be interviewing them here in a few weeks. So we'll have that, for folks in the future. But for now, we have been joined by Javier of the Open Bar Miami podcast. My
Yes,
name's
sir.
John.
And I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.
JP.
He's JP. We should do it again. I'm John. He's Ryan. He's JP.
There you go.
All right. Thanks all.